Hey, it's Aaron, Metal Theologian channel here. Um, so I was trying to come up with a specific topic for today, and it's a little bit funny because I'm listening to a lot of records this week. I always listen to a lot of records, right? But a lot of them just sort of, I've felt like there've been a lot of peaks and valleys, you know. And in a way, it's easier to get up here and talk about a record when make a video or something when I heard a record that's just really fantastic and blew my mind. Or I heard one that really sucked and it's just a total piece of shit, you know? This hasn't really been one of those weeks, so I'm thinking, what the hell, you know? Just sort of go through some of these a little bit, maybe listen to some of them together a little bit. A lot of my opinions aren't necessarily fully formed, you know? There's some new arrivals here, and some that I've had for a while, I just haven't I haven't completely assimilated them yet or whatever, but I don't know, we'll just see where it goes, you know? We're starting off with one that actually is fantastic, because I'll tell you, man, this is still a favorite fucking record, and that's this Madhouse. You can still get this on the Bandcamp, but it's pretty cheap if you're in the US. Yeah, it's legit like German metal, like an old demo from 1988, just like we all love. Kind of cheap packaging. This is the one that I released, so you know I was trying to keep costs low, and it's still cheap because of that. But this isn't like a sales pitch. This is just like this record rules. I'm glad it's available. And the other thing is that I don't know that I ever showed the original tape on this channel before. I mean, I probably have at some point or another, but it's been a while for sure. But yeah, this is the original one. And I wouldn't be surprised if I was the only person in the United States who has a copy of this. But that's it. This is sort of what I was working with. You can see like all the stick-um is like gone with age, you know. There's your lyric sheet. When I was putting this together, I kind of tried to maintain the integrity of all this stuff, you know? Like that super old looking font. You know, so that's where the back cover picture came from. Yeah, and these actually originally came with a sticker, too. Let me fold this up. I don't want to fuck it up because it's all brittle with age and shit. Yeah, I had these little stickers that, you can tell they're made with a dot matrix printer. Check that shit out. It's like, I don't know how they did the stick on the back, but it was like, you know, the whole thing isn't sticky. It's just kind of a part of it, you know. Anyway, yeah, man, some made me think of this last week, and I pulled it out and played it, and it blew me away again, man. And I like this thing enough to release it on record myself. So there you go, right? One of my very favorite things about this, I've talked about this a few times before, but the keyboard sound, and it's coming up right here. Like at the time, band, I mean, because I was kind of friends with them, right? The band, they were kind of bummed, like having the keyboard was sort of like second best. It's like if you're a real metal band, you wanted to have a second guitar, you know. But I swear, man, I think the keyboard is one of the coolest things about this because nobody else sounds quite like that. You know, it really makes it unique. You know, and just sort of like this sound underneath it just sort of fills up all the space in there. You know, second guitar is almost trite by comparison. You know. Apparently, like I've learned to play guitar, and like on subsequent demos, they've had a second guitar instead of the keys. But I'm a sucker for that keyboard, man. And like I know exactly what the effect was, but like I'm not sure if I want to give it away. Although it might be obvious, like everyone who actually knows anything about equipment. So anyway, Madhouse is fantastic, man. I could hype that band all day long. Here's what I pulled out again. Let's do this a couple times. And this is really an example of sort of the subject of this video more than Madhouse, because Madhouse is just fucking fantastic, right? This is a good record. But like, I'll play it and enjoy it, and it doesn't really stay in my head, you know what I mean? It's kind of awesome for being an early Italian band. I mean, this is like, you know, 81. You see, recorded in 80 and 81, so I assume it came out. And this is a reissue, too. This isn't hard to find, right? Yeah, Vexa, I guess. And, you know, for an Italian band, you know, this is pretty early on, you know. I mean, I guess Death SS was already around. There are probably a couple others, too. But, you know, like, the Italian scene hadn't quite developed into, like, the mess of, like, bonkers anarchy that it sort of became a little bit further into the 80s with some of these other Italian bands. So, this one does kind of have that Italian charm though. I don't want to like play down its Italianness too much, you know? It's just that, I don't know. It's one of those, maybe I'll come back one of these days and be like, oh my god, Vexa is the fucking greatest thing ever. But, you know, I never mind that record. I always enjoy listening to it, but it never like jumps out at me and grabs me, you know? Yeah, there are a couple here that sort of fall into the new wave of British heavy metal umbrella. But kind of in the same boat. I always enjoy this record. Son of Odin by Elixir. It was a little bit late. I think this LP came out in '86, if I remember correctly. It's a little hard to see through this thing, but yeah, and then there was the single song is on here, Treachery, Ride Like the Wind, and that one, you know, kind of sticks in my head, right? But other than that, it's a little bit of a blur, this record too, you know? It doesn't mean it isn't a fun record, because it totally is, you know? Love that blue label, right? Yeah, this has been reissued too. I'm pretty sure you can get this without too much trouble these days. I don't know, I actually pulled this out because someone in the comments section a few videos ago was talking about how this was a favorite of theirs. I was like, I haven't played that in a while, man. Maybe it's time to give it another chance, you know? So I did. And, you know, I've got nothing against it. It just doesn't rip my face off. I'm gonna put this one on next. Because once, you know, I often buy records based on the covers. This one I pretty much bought on the strength of the band name because the band is called Bazooka. And, I mean, they look fine. And they're Italian, right? They even sing in Italian. But they're called Bazooka. I don't think I've talked about this, and I might have talked about this in a couple videos ago, but I'm going to throw this one on for a minute, though. It's really sort of a down and dirty vibe on this one. Like, definitely sort of straight ahead rock and roll, sort of in the, I guess when I compare them to other Italians, sort of, you know, in the bulldozer mold a little bit. It'd be easy to sort of call them like sort of a, you know, Motorhead-ish, but they weren't really as fully realized as Motorhead, if you know what I mean. Like, to call them Motorhead-ish might be to give them a little bit too much credit, you know? So, yeah, let's check this out for a second. Fucking Freemas. I don't even know what that is, or Fremas. It's probably like someone's vanity label or something like that. Shit. Alright, we're firing up Bazooka. Dude, how about those pants, man? What a band shot. It's so good, man. But I'll tell you, that might be a favorite band name ever now. Bazooka. See, sort of a rock and roll sensibility right out of the gate. There's a little bit of that sort of, you know, Lemmy rasp in there, but this isn't as heavy as Motorhead, you know. It's probably it's probably closer to like an AC/DC or something like that than Motorhead, really, you know. But I do love this shit, man. And the fact that it's sung in Italian is only a benefit. Yeah, here's another one that you hear about in a new wave of British heavy metal lists sometimes too. I actually remember not really caring for this record when I first got it. I pulled it out again recently to give it another shot, and I liked it a lot more than I remembered liking it. But it's another one that's not super memorable, you know? I wouldn't spend an arm and a leg on the Phoenix Rising record. I don't know that it really, that would really be necessary anyway, but we got that cool-looking, private-looking label. When is this, 84, I think? Yeah, it doesn't say. I'm pretty sure it's 84. So, you know, a little bit late on the new wave of British heavy metal front. You know, Power Slave came out in 1984, so it's a little hard to call a record that sounds like this new wave of anything, you know? But they do sort of have that sensibility, you know what I mean? If you're looking for like that sort of, you know, NWOBHM sound or something like that, this does deliver on that. They just don't have the best hooks, you know what I mean? They don't really grab you in that sort of way. really sort of special way. This is actually a really fantastic sort of, I don't want to say average record, but sort of like, you know, just a record that's like really enjoyable without being like the greatest thing ever. I actually just got this in the mail like today, but this is yeah, this is like this new like side thing that Cult Metal Classics is doing. Apparently, it's Cult Rock Classics for the ones that aren't like full on metal. And this one is definitely more of like sort of, you know, a hard and heavy record than you know, a full on metal one. Some kind of cheesy keyboards on this one and that. But the song's just enjoyable, man. You know, this one isn't the heaviest thing ever. Like I said, there's some kind of corny synth moves on this, but the performances are good. You know, it has the original shit. Like the original record costs like a lot of money that probably wouldn't be worth it if you want to spend it. This thing here, they have like, they posed in the same ways they did in the original photos is kind of funny. Like, I really don't like to see a bunch of old guys on my metal records, right? You know, when they're like standing around, it's clearly reunion era. It's sort of like, you know, but I gotta tip my hat for doing it right if they're gonna do that, you know. And I can't get mad at the guys for weighing a few pounds more than they did 30 years ago, because I know I do it. Anyway, really cool record, man. Patriarch. You know, if this kind of cover gets you going like it does me, then you probably won't be disappointed with this record. It's sort of one of those, you know? It's just a fun listen. It's not, you know, it's not like the second coming of, you know, Number of the Beast or anything like that. But it's just a cool record, man. And that's kind of the thing. That's why you wanted to talk about this, because, like, I mean, again, it's easy to talk about the best records, and it's easy to talk about the worst records, but there are a lot of records in that sort of middle area there, you know? And, you know, if you're like me anyway, it's not that hard to find reasons to like a record, you know? But sometimes you have to try a little bit harder, and sometimes you can just sit back and not really have to find a reason to like a record, but just sort of like it, but not necessarily be able to put your finger on why, you know? So I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to feature here a little bit, is some of these kinds of records, you know? Yeah, this is another one like that. This is a heavier one. I mean, this looks awesome, right? I mean, that fucking skull on the back. And the fact that they, like, glued the cover. This is their second album. They had extra covers from the first one. They glued it over the old cover. You can see that. This is a really cool, like, average heavy metal record, you know? This is like 89, so it's a lot speedier than this. This is like 84, maybe? Bazooka? I don't remember. I'm kind of guessing. This is like 89. It's faster. It's not like fully committed on the speed metal, but that's kind of what they were going for. Like, I almost think maybe if they'd been a little better, they might have been more of a full-on speed metal band, but as it was, they played, you know, sort of speedy, but within the limitations of their abilities, and I respect that. Like, no shade for doing that either, you know? But, you know, again, it's not like the second coming of, you know, The Legacy or Bonded by Blood or something like that, or even, I don't know. That's just a cool record, man. Three-piece band, really honest, you know what I mean? Just some ordinary guys who put together a record, or two records as the case may be. I don't have the first one, although I might do something about that. But it's hard, because this one isn't so great that I necessarily want to take the trouble to search out the first one. We'll see. I kind of go back and forth on that shit, you know? Yeah, this is a Spanish one. This is kind of a great ordinary record, actually. This is Bonsai. The record's called Duro y Potente. And, I kind of want to fire this up for a minute, but it's a Wea. So, I'm kind of, you know, taking some chances here with the, you know, copyright ownership. I was going to say gods, but I don't give them that much respect because it's just a fucking software program, you know, an algorithm that, like, does that shit. Anyway, if there's an ad on this video, it's probably going to be because of Bonsai, but I'm going to throw this on for a minute so I can get a taste. This is, yeah, Yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of like was looking for some more Spanish shit because I think I even said in an earlier video I was talking with the Merciful Metal dude a couple months ago. At this point, he was like, "Man, you need more Spanish metal," and I was like, "Yeah, you're right." So this is sort of one of the ones that I checked out because this record kind of had a good reputation. People seem to like it, in the places where I read reviews online. Yeah, this is their second record. I've heard that the first one's better, but I've also heard that the second one's better. So it kind of seems like it depends on who you believe. That's a pretty cool riff. This is another one that definitely holds my. All the way through. It doesn't take me any effort at all to find things that I like about this record. But it's a little hard to imagine this one ever becoming like one of my all-time favorites too. I'm kind of here like going for that sort of like modern like 80s production, and like I don't know if it was like budget that held him just like sort of below that threshold that would have made him sound like some of the American productions from that era. But whatever the reason for that was, I'm glad it's there because them sort of being just shy of that, I think helps them keep the authenticity. You know what I mean? Like if they had had just a little bit more money in their budget for like a little bit more expensive production job, you could have taken all the soul out of this record. And as it is, it really sounds pretty fucking good. Yeah. Here's another one I gave another chance to. It's funny, I was actually going to get rid of this because I was kind of, well, it's this Hex record, No Escape. And it has a gatefold. And it's funny, as I've gotten older, one thing that's become a little bit of a pet peeve of mine is when records that didn't originally have gatefolds get reissued with gatefolds. It feels like an excuse to just charge more money for the reissue. And I'm like, you're fucking Hex. Who the fuck do you think you are having a gatefold cover? You know what I mean? It's not like this is fucking, Deep Purple or some like major band. It's sort of an also-ran of a band. So, so no one bid on this one. So I sort of, well, fuck y'all, I'll just keep it then. Because it's a good record. And I wanted to go out and buy a fucking original then, And even though I really don't need these lyrics in there. So this is a pretty good record. And this band's growing on me. Again, I don't know that I'm ever going to be the biggest Hex fan. I know there's some pretty big Hex fans in the community. Scott Waters really likes Hex, if I recall correctly. And, they're a good band. It's just another really easy record to listen to and a really easy record to enjoy. But not one that's going to knock peace of mind off its throne, Yeah, no shade at all on Hex, and this is a Metal Blade reissue. If you see this at a shop for $20-25, and you decide to bite on it, you're probably not going to regret it, man. So if records like that make you smile, rather than making you go, oh god damn it, this isn't the greatest thing ever, then you're going to be happy with this fucking record. There's nothing to not like. We bump this ahead to another song so you can hear him sort of pick up the pace a little bit. It's about the same pace, actually, but it's a different riff. What the hell with it? Here's another one I sort of wanted to sample a little bit. Shit. A bunch of shit just fell over. Bear with me a sec. You can tell this is like first half of the 80s though, right? Like they're sort of going for like what will become like glam metal, but they're not there yet. And like the writing is sort of heading in that direction, but it's not there yet, And it's kind of cool and kind of charming for that, Shit like that is what makes these sorts of records easy to enjoy. Alright, so here's what I talk about. Another one I don't know what the fuck to say about. This is one of those that shows up on lists, like on metal lists and things like that, but has a reputation for not really being much of a metal record and being more sort of a weirdo hard rock record. Egad Ducks? I don't know. Is that what they're called? Look fucking blue as fucking with my camera lighting. Look at that shit. Everything turns like sepia. Alright, anyway. This is what it looks like. The record's called Brainstorm. It's an EP, which I respect, because who wants a band that's going to overstay their welcome, right? And this record is really, I mean, it's really an unusual one. Now, if you're looking for a metal record, you probably don't want this one, because it really would be a stretch to call this a metal record. But if you're into like that sort of hard and heavy style, it's an interesting record. And if you're into prog rock, you might dig this record for what it is too, because it's definitely angling for that kind of vibe. There we go. Let's see what this does to the camera. It's nice private looking labels. The first song was called Another Day in Cleveland. But unfortunately they're not from Cleveland. I'm pretty sure they're from LA. This is 1982 too, so it's a little early for I mean, I guess heavy metal was kind of finding its way at that point in time. But this still really isn't a metal record. It's more sort of a weird, like, all over the place kind of record. Like, let's throw a bunch of stuff in, but without being like one of those sort of annoying, like, rock meets jazz meets hip-hop meets metal meets reggae type of bands that, like, sort of proliferate a little bit in the 90s. I hate... If you want to turn me off from a band, use the word meets in describing it. I hate that, so... In case the sarcasm in my voice wasn't apparent when I was saying that a second ago. It's like a metal guitar tone with a prog or a prog written riff and a punk singer. Although I might just be saying a punk singer because he reminds me a little bit of David Thomas. Like if David Thomas from Peruba weren't all yelpy. Oh, there gets yelpy for me right on cue there, huh? He's not yelpy like, you know, Crocus Behemoth yelpy there. Not sure with the rhythms and the break there, though. I bet money that these guys were Frank Zappa fans. I don't blame them a bit either. And it's like... I don't think this is a great record, but I think it's an interesting record. Because I feel like they were really looking for their own style. And they didn't quite find it. And they fell into some of the sort of cliches of, you know, these sorts of prog bands, like the 70s prog bands that kind of got so overdone by like 76, 77. But they fell into those sorts of cliches in a way that's kind of unique to them, if that makes sense. And I respect that. Like the way they went into that break was kind of a cliche, but the way they came back out of it was kind of hip. Kind of smooth, you know? Yeah, if that name means something, tell me in the comments, because I have no fucking idea. Egad Ducks. Maybe it was the name of like a battle somewhere or something, and like, when I learn what it meant, I'll hate them because I'll think it was pretentious, you know? Yeah, the address is in Long Beach. So not quite LA, especially in 82, but close enough. I guess they probably recorded it. Oh, they recorded it in Orange County, it looks like. So they drove in the other direction. It's an interesting record. Like, I could kind of do without that whistling. But that's another example of them sort of doing something where I respect the effort, you know? Especially because that kind of whistling could just be absolutely fucking heinous. And here it's kind of not. They're sort of reserved enough that it doesn't like kill the vibe. And they have all the different parts, you know, from that standpoint, total prog. You know? But especially on this here, I mean, you compare them with a band like Marillion from the 80s, right? You listen to that shit, and it's like, you know exactly what they were going for. They were going for Genesis, you know? I don't exactly know what these guys were going for, but I kind of respect them for that. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Unless this is exactly what they were going for, in which case they were kind of geniuses, but maybe some of the mystique is a little spoiled. What else do we have here? Yeah, here's another one that has that new wave of British heavy metal sound, actually, that, I don't know, maybe other people talk about it more than I do, but I don't talk about this one enough, because this one really has it. And it kind of still fits into the topic for the video, because, like, it's not like every single song that's just, like, super memorable and, like, you know, an earworm and that. But if you're looking for that sound, this totally scratches the itch, you know? And you can't really argue with that cover, right? Fucking Chariot, the Warrior. Yeah, I don't know. I think this came out in like 82-ish, something like that. It's on the Shades label. We put out, I think, all of 5 or 6 different releases, maybe. '84, this is. So yeah, a little bit late, but these guys have been around for a while. They were paying dues, you know, so I don't begrudge them that. There's a little prog rock move there, right? Chariot is much simpler than this. But Chariot also scratches a really specific itch that Egad Ducks wouldn't be scratching. Yeah, and in a way, I'm going to wrap it up with this one. In a way, this is the record that's the poster child for everything I've shown in this video. Except, of course, Madhouse. And that's this one, man. Because this is a really good record. It's not a great record, though. You know? This one scratches a specific itch. That's the early accept itch. The pre-breaker accept itch, you know? And it kind of sounds like what they look like. You know, meaning they're on their way towards becoming fully realized accept, but they're not quite there yet. And like, it's kind of fun hanging out with them while they find their way. You know, Lady Lou is a pretty great song. After that, I don't remember any bad songs, but I really remember a whole lot of the songs anyway. But I always enjoy this record when I listen to it, man. So how can I argue with that? I'm never going to be able to say this is the greatest record ever. But I'm sure as hell not going to say this is a shitty record either, because I always enjoy it when I play it, man. And I guess that's what sort of became the theme, man. Records that you always enjoy when you listen to them, even if in other ways you're not necessarily sure what the fuck to make of them. Because you've been collecting for more than 20 minutes, that's probably a big chunk of your collection. I know it is of mine, and I'm not mad about that, man. A lot of these records are cool to just sort of take in and dig for what they are, man. Because that's all you need. And they're exactly what they need to be, which is something to sit back and enjoy, you know. Yes, that's about it. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate it. Madhouse rules. Take care.